Welcome to the Fluffy Cow Studio. I'm so glad you popped in today. Today we are going to be making some Valentines again, and we are going to start by making a big heart and cutting it out with cardboard. And then we're going to make a smaller heart, and then we're making a pattern for it just using paper and folding it and cutting it. And then we will draw it onto our cardboard, and I'm just using a marker to do that. And I'm going to draw it around, and then we'll cut it out just using a pair of scissors. It is such a pain to cut in great big when you got a great big piece of cardboard. But I'm able to get these great big pieces of cardboard at work, and so I grab one every once in a while till I run out, and then I go get another one. And I'm just going to cut this out. And I'm just kind of going on the inside of that line. Okay, now I'm going to paint the big one black. And I will be painting the black one, the big one, on the front, sides, and back. Okay, and this one I'm going to be painting with nutmeg brown. I'm going to go around the sides of it as well, but I am not going to paint the back. When they get good and dry, I'm going to glue. I'm going to take some just regular white school glue and gluing it down with a little bit of hot glue, and now I'm putting a little bit of weight on it just to hold it. Now I'm going to take this string of beads that I got from Hobby Lobby a couple years ago, and I'm just going to take those black beads and go around the edge of the black heart. And I'm wanting it to get good and glued, so I'm just kind of going a little bit at a time, a little space at a time, just so that the glue doesn't have a chance to set up before I get my beads on. I think if I would have been smart, I would have done a few beads in hot glue and a few beads in a different kind, either a tacky glue or like a Titan Bond or even E6000. But because it's on cardboard, I don't know that I'd go with E6000, but even Elmer's School Glue would have been okay. I think I should have done it that way, but I just used the regular hot glue. Excuse me. You want to make sure that this is good and dry. The paint is good and dry before you try gluing it on, or it'll never stick. And I'm putting them beads, they're on top of it. They're not along the side. They're just at the top. Now I'm taking some white acrylic paint and I'm just dry brushing over those beads. And then I'm going to dry brush in between the black, in between the heart and those beads. And I should have done this before I glued them on, but I got a little overzealous as I always do. Now right here, I'm just going along the edge with some hot glue and just kind of taking my finger and rubbing it across so it kind of evens out those holes a little bit, because I decided I didn't want to wrap anything around like, some uh, twine or anything. I just, and I didn't have any black pipe cleaners or anything like that. So I just took it and took my glue and glued in those holes, filled up those holes, and then I take a paintbrush and paint over the top of it, and it looks better. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it does look better. At least you don't see the holes and it doesn't look cardboard, like cardboard. Now I'm taking that black string of beads and gluing them back on. Now before, you can see I have some glue there. I had painted some brown beads and I would have liked to use them. I didn't have enough and I don't know, they were just a pain. So I just ended up putting these on, gluing them on, and then I take my brown, nutmeg brown, and I dry brush over them. And I do it several times, just kind of brush over because the black will show through. Then I take a little bit of that black paint and I paint across that heart a little bit to give it a rustic look, or and even to get it a more of a wood look, but just to make it look a little rustic, a little aged. And I'm doing that again. I do a few times to kind of, then when it gets dry, I look at it again because when it dries, it gets darker and, the black is a little bit more prominent. So I um, do go over it a few times. And now you can see I'm just painting, and it looks a lot better than it did as the cardboard. I just didn't have anything to really go around it, and that doesn't look bad. It really doesn't. Okay, now I'm going to take some black and I'm going to paint the back side of that because I like to, have things kind of nice. I'm going to let that get good and dry. And once that gets really dry, I'm going to turn it over. And I have this jewelry. It is a glass butterfly. It's really pretty. The camera probably doesn't do it justice, but I did glue that on in the middle of that brown heart, and now I'm making a bow with the jute because we want it to have kind of a rustic look. I'm going to kind of scatter them little loops out. I'm going to glue it on to that heart. And now I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm taking a little bit of wire because I didn't have any gold ribbon. And it's the strangest thing. Walmart has nothing as far as ribbon. It's almost like they're letting their ribbon go and they're not going to order any, so they're just kind of letting it, they have very, very little ribbon. And I was just dumbfounded. And I went to Dollar Store today, and the one I went to didn't have a whole lot of ribbon either, but they did have some, but they didn't have gold. And they didn't have it when I was making this, or I didn't go to the dollar store before I made this. So I am just using my jewelry wire cutters, and I just kind of did a little And now I'm taking my wire cuppers. I made a bow and I'm just kind of squishing everything together. And then I do glue this bow on with hot glue. Now, I don't, it's so far it's worked fine and it stayed fine, but, and then I put a little golden bead on top. Now on the back side, I am going to glue a little hook, a jute, and I just make a loop and glue it down. Then I put a little masking tape over to kind of hold it. I didn't show this part, but I do take some black and go over it. And this is our final project. I wish the lighting was a little bit better that you could see that butterfly a little bit better. My sister tells me that I need to do something different because you can't see these things look so much better in real life than they do on the pictures. So I've got to figure something out. But this is the final project, and it's just a rustic heart. You can use it all year round. It doesn't have to be just for Valentine's. It's a good little farmhouse piece. Just giving you a little extra time to look at it. I see that there's a little red bead at the bottom of that. It must be from something that fell off of something. I didn't realize that when I was filming. So we got a little surprise there. Okay, I'm kind of going in so you can see that butterfly a little bit better. Kind of has white and then some gold glitter like in there. It's really pretty, but dang it, I didn't take a very good picture of it. Okay, for our next craft, we are going to be making another little Valentine. I am taking some, this is a little scrapbook that I got from Hobby Lobby, and it's only like a 6 by 6. And I cut a little heart out, and I'm going to glue this paper onto this chipboard. And I'm just going to glue it all around. And then I'm going to stick it on there, and then we will glue. The reason why I didn't glue it quite to the edge is because I wasn't exactly sure if I was going to, um, what I was going to do for sure. But anyway, so now I'm taking some brown, nutmeg brown, and I'm going on the inside of that heart. My niece came down yesterday and she visited for a while. She says, "This is how I want my house to be. I want my house to be decorated with decorations like this." Made me laugh. She's a cool kid. Anyway, so I'm just gonna do that. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of that nutmeg and go around the edge. Just dry brushing it around the edge. I kind of want to give it a little bit of a rustic look. Or an aged look, I guess I should say. I'm going to cut that out. Okay, and now I'm going to paint this inmost side one like it is a board. And first of all, I'm taking some black and I'm going to go around the edges, and I'm just kind of dry brushing it to give it some aged look. Doing just a little bit, and then I'm adding a little bit of white. Actually, I think this is beachcomber beige that I'm adding on here a little bit. Okay, then when that gets good and dry, I'm going to just draw some boards, lines to make it look like a board. And then I'm going to take that beachcomber and I'm going to go underneath each one of those lines because we want it to look like, the sun's kind of hitting it and we got that kind of gap in there. Just dry brushing a little bit more of the beachcomber up on the top part of it. Then I'm going to take this little cow that I've had for a while. It's been in my stash, and I'm just going to take it and I just glued it onto the back, onto this heart, and I outlined it in the, oh, what is it called? With the marker. Now I am going to glue some little leaves, ivy leaves on there. Then I'm going to take this, I got this from the dollar store. I noticed they still have them, but I got this one last year, or they have some more. I got this last year, and I take it and I wrap it around the heart. Then I take a little flower that I had in this bundle, and I'm just using a little yellow and a little white. And then I'm taking some little of those foam beads. I'm taking both blue and the pink color, and I'm cutting them in half and then just gluing them on. And then I'm going to take some scrapbook paper that I found. This has been in my stash forever. And I'm just cutting it. I traced my mirror or my picture frame thing. I traced it and then I punched it out, and now I am gluing this on to some more. I think this is more cardstock. This isn't the heavy duty. I think this is just more like cardstock. Now I'm going to glue this on to the scrapbook paper, and now I'm going to put it into my little um, frame. Now this is a very old frame. It came from one of my moms. She's got so many, and or she had so many. And then I'm just putting a little leaf, some green leaves from those little uh, ball, foam ball picks. And then I'm going to add a little pink ball onto the middle. I'm going to take some pink ribbon and make a little bow, and then I'm going to put um, cut the little ball in half and put it on the bow. And then I'm going to take some more of those leaves and put them on the bottom corner there. And then I'm going to take a little white flower. I think they're hydrangeas, and then or dranias. Anyway, then I'm going to put that on there, and then I'm going to take one of those foam balls in the blue and I'm going to glue it on in the middle. Okay, this is the final project, but I want to remind you this is the last week for our drawing. If you would like to have your name in a drawing to win a prize, you need to go to my email, which is fluffycowstudio25@gmail.com, and leave your name and an address where I can send your prize if you win. And this is the last week for the drawing, so I'm going to make sure you guys can see that email address. So if you want to be entered in to win, this is the last week to do it. I want to thank you guys so much for coming in. I want to you for subscribing and watching and coming back and watching this channel. You guys are awesome. And I appreciate those who just support me no matter what. I really, really appreciate that. And I want you guys to remember that you may only be one person in the world, but you may mean the world to one person. Never underestimate your value. You are loved and you are very worth it. So, I want you all to have a good day and enjoy your life. Don't sweat the small stuff and keep on smiling. That being said, I love you and thank you for popping in again. Please hit the like and subscribe if you have not already subscribed, and we'll see you with the next video.